The International Sports Hall of Fame was established to pay tribute to the world's greatest athletes from all sports. We believe that honoring excellence and recognizing the dedication and commitment it takes to achieve excellence will inspire others to be their best. Inductees are chosen for their athletic achievements, as well as their charitable contributions, mentoring, and efforts to give back to their community. The induction ceremonies are held at the Arnold Sports Festival in Columbus, Ohio, the world's largest athletic festival with over 18,000 participating athletes and more than 175,000 in attendance. We are thrilled to announce the 2016 inductees into the International Sports Hall of Fame. Opening this year's event is Jim Lorimer, co-producer of the Arnold Sports Festival.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much for being here. This is a very special occasion, a very special recognition. The 5th year that we've had this International Sports Hall of Fame here at the Arnold Sports Festival weekend. The athletes, the great athletes that we have recognized over the last few years have just been outstanding in every possible field of competitive endeavor. And we have that today at the very top of the list, as you'll see from here. Dr. Robert Goldman is the chairman and founder of the International Sports Hall of Fame. He holds over 20 world strength records, as listed in the Guinness Book of Records. He is a 6th-degree karate belt holder. He runs, again, the largest anti-aging festivals in the world, and he has been a fantastic supporter of the Arnold Weekend, and his creativity in putting this great event together is something we all appreciate very much. So we will, with that, introduce Dr. Robert Goldman.
Now, 1 second. Before Jim gets off, this is the 28th year of the Arnold Sports Festival that Arnold and the governor and Jim created. Jim is going to be 90 years old this October, so let's give a standing ovation to Jim Lorimer. Yeah, standing ovation.
That's by virtual reaching 90, right?
And Jim was a 2012 inductee into the International Sports Hall of Fame, one of the greatest promoters in the history of sport, certainly in the sport of bodybuilding, but really now, with on 6 continents, in the history of sport. Jim Lorimer, 90 years young. We're so excited to have everybody here. You know, it takes a full year for this 48 minutes. We're so honored to have Governor Schwarzenegger to co-host this with us. It has been a lot of work, but it's all worthwhile because what we try to do, the International Sports Hall of Fame was founded to honor and recognize the greatest athletes, not just in one sport, but in all sports. These candidates were chosen not only for being world champions or legends in their own sport or their accomplishments, but also for their giving back to society and mentoring young children and working with charities. That is a key component of becoming inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame. It doesn't matter if you're the greatest athlete in the world. If you do not give back and do not help that next generation coming up, you are not a candidate. Even the most successful athlete in history in their particular sport, we only induct one sport and athlete. In other words, you can be the greatest baseball player, a football player, a bodybuilder. It could be years before we put in another NBA Hall of Famer or an NFL Hall of Famer. And again, that key is giving back. The International Sports Hall of Fame is a 501c3. We do not accept sponsorship. We do not accept any donations. That's why you notice there's no charge to come in. This is all free. We want all of you to share these photographs because it's so important for us to, again, sharing is what is important here. That's what I've tried to do all along. That's why I funded this myself. The food is free, so eat as much. I'm the only one who doesn't get to eat, by the way. But we want this to be all about the athletes and all about their great accomplishments. Also know that all this information is archived at the largest physical culture and sport museum in the world at the University of Texas, Austin. It's the largest physical, it's called at the Stark Center, and it was started by Terry and Jan Todd, both world champions and advisors. The logo you see behind you, the International Sports Hall of Fame logo, was created in a competition of hundreds of artists from around the globe. And it signifies the global 6 continents as well as the Olympic ideals. These candidates, many of them have already been inducted into their respective Hall of Fames, whether it be in the NFL, in football, NBA, basketball, UFC, WWE, bodybuilding. So this is in essence the Hall of Fame of all Hall of Fame. So it makes it very different and unique. And as you can see, the medallion is also quite unique. It's probably the largest medal they got. We had these handcrafted and they're coated in 18-karat gold. And on top of that, each of the inductees also get their own shield like we have here. These are made actually by hand in Singapore, their own gold cufflinks, buttons, the whole thing. So we want them to look as smart as everybody else who gets inducted. And we have so many inductees who have been here in the past as past Hall of Fame members. And we have Master Alan Goldberg, Chuck Zito, Oak Tree, broke a few ribs on a lot of boxers, Don the Dragon Wilson, 11-time world champion, Ed Cohen, 70 world records, Randy Couture, UFC world champion, Mark Henry, world's strongest WD world champion, Apollo Ono, one of the greatest Winter Olympians in history. So we've got these people right here in the front row. And what happens is they want to come back every year. I want to thank the Global Advisory Board because it takes a lot of people to really make this happen. Dr. Tom Allen, University of Oklahoma. Dr. Joe Maroon, who's a team physician for the NFL Pittsburgh Steelers. Randy Couture, our 212 inductee. Dr. Nick DeNubli, who's a team surgeon for the Philadelphia 76ers. Earl the Pearl Monroe, NBA Hall of Famer, who was also an inductee into our class of 214. Dr. Eduardo DeRose, International Olympic Committee Medical Commission. Sheikh Abdullah, Olympic Committee and family member, Kingdom of Bahrain. Rob Fletcher, America's Next Great Trainer. Dr. Rafael Santoka, IFBB President, who has built the federation into the second largest sport federation in the world, over 190 countries. Dan O'Malley, professional boxer and wrestler. Master Alan Goldberg, the founder of the Action Martial Arts Hall of Honors. Sean Perrine, publisher of Muscle and Fitness. Jim Mann, who is president not only of the IFBB Pro League, but also president of the MPC. Sheikh McCollin, he's a world CELAT champion. Sir David Webster, who at the Arnold here oversees the Highland Games and the Strongman competition. Min Zhu, who is the China Olympic Federation. Dr. Terry Todd and Dr. Jan Todd, who run the world's strongest man competition here at the Arnold every year. Dr. James Stockson, team doctors. Professor Rano Amat, head of the Asia Fitness Professional Association. Bruno Sammartino, world pro wrestling champion and a Hall of inductee in 2014. In fact, in his class, Arnold, Franco Colombo is also in that class, and Bruno Sammartino had not seen each other in over 30 years until they were on the stage here. Talk about 3 legends seeing each other 30 years later. Dr. Tom Rosanders, founder of the U.S. Sports Academy. Jim Lorimer, co-founder of the Arnold Sports Festival. Mark Henry, advisor, WWE world champion, and the class of 212. Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is why we're all here, not only here, but on 6 continents around the world. Beyond legend. And last but not least, the person that helps me the most day after day, Fairfax Hackley, who is a member of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. He's my right arm all year long. Let's give it up for Hack. We're going to start the induction now. Our first inductee, Kurt Angle, remarkable athlete, American Olympic gold medalist, wrestling. He's an actor. He does so many different things, and he does all of them with perfection. While at Clarion University of Pennsylvania, he won numerous accolades, including being a 2-time national NCAA champion, Division I heavyweight wrestling champion. After graduating college, Kurt won a gold medal in freestyle wrestling at the 1995 World Wrestling Championship. He then won a freestyle gold medal at the 1996 Olympics, and he went on to so many other different remarkable career milestones. He's one of only 4 people to complete an amateur grand wrestling grand slam He won the Junior Nationals, NCAA, World Championships, and the Olympics, all in one shot. In 2006, Kurt was named the greatest shoot wrestler ever and one of the top 15 college wrestlers of all time by USA Wrestling. Let's give it up for Kurt Angle. Now, with Kurt, we know the neck holding this medal is no problem at all. So. Here's the Kurt.
First of all, I want to thank Arnold Schwarzenegger for having such an impact on all of our lives. I think we all know how much he has impacted us over the years, and it's quite an honor to be inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame. I wasn't expecting it, but being inducted with this class, especially this class, is phenomenal. You know, when you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, though, you think of the epitome of excellence and everything he's ever done. Sport, Hollywood, politics, business. He's always risen to the challenge, and he's always the best. And to be in this Hall of Fame is so much of an honor for me. I know the other inductees feel exactly the same. I won an Olympic gold medal in 1996. That was the highlight of my career. But this honor comes pretty damn close. Thank you, and God bless.
Next inductee, and since this is a bodybuilding weekend, it's not hard to understand why Ronnie Coleman, 8-time Mr. Olympia, is being inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame. Ronnie was born in Louisiana, graduated cum laude, so he's a sharp guy, from Grambling University where he played football. But as you know, a lot of guys that start out playing football, they gravitate to bodybuilding, they forget all about football. Ronnie won the Mr. Texas in first place in both the heavyweight and overall categories in bodybuilding. He then went on to win his first competition as a professional, the Canada Pro Cup in 1995. The following year, he won the contest again, followed by first place win in the 1997 Russian Grand Prix. He then went on to win 8 Mr. Olympias, making him one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. And there are very few that have won so many, Lee Haney and Arnold Schwarzenegger winning 7. Ronnie also supports, as a giving back, he supports the Inner Cities Games. Inner Cities Games, associated, which was co-founded by Governor Schwarzenegger in 1991. He is the recipient of the 2001 Admiral in Texas Navy Certificate from the Texas Governor Nick Perry for outstanding achievements. And the one thing I can tell you about Ronnie, he is one of the few bodybuilding athletes, he returns every email from every fan who ever writes to him. So this is a guy that really wants to connect with people and give back. Let's hear. And Ronnie, by the way, had surgery, had back surgery, shoulder surgery, and he's here. It's like a miracle, and this guy made it anyway. So let's give it up for 8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman. Again, no problem with the neck action here, even with back surgery. It shows dedication. Ronnie Coleman, Mr. Olympia.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank God for getting me here safe and sound. Of course, I wouldn't be here without my lovely wife, Susan, who's been with me every step of the way. Just had, like he said, had 11-hour surgery on my back, had a couple cages put in, about 6-7 screws, some plates. But like I said, this is probably the highest honor post Mr. Olympia that I've ever received. And I wouldn't miss this for the world. some other people who are very responsible for helping me get here. Vicky Gates was one of the people who was very instrumental in helping me win my first Miss Olympia. Of course, my buddy Flex Wheeler, Brian Dobson, who's my angel, basically. I try to tell people all the time that I didn't choose bodybuilding. Bodybuilding pretty much chose me because all I ever wanted to do was just be the greatest accountant in the world. And once that didn't work out, I gravitated to the police department. And then that worked out pretty good. I worked 15 years there. But like I said, bodybuilding kind of like chose me, and it took Brian Dobson probably about 5 or 6 tries before he finally got me to accept it. What happened was I just got released from the academy and walked in Metroflex gym one day, and Brian saw me and said, hey, man, you're pretty big. You need to compete. I'm like, nah, man, it's all right. I just got this job at the police department, and I just want to work there and, just try to make it as high as I can there. Well, I went in the gym probably about 3 or 4 days after that, and Brian just kept on asking me, man, you really need to compete. I'm like, no, Brian, it's okay. I just want to work for the police department. I don't want to diet and do all that stuff and, take all the drugs those guys take. Like, oh, you wouldn't have to do that. I'm like, no, that's okay. Well, Brian was pretty insistent. And about my 5th day in there, he said, I'll tell you what. He said, I give you a free membership to the gym if you compete in this show coming up in like 3-4 months. At the time, I was like, kind of broke and didn't have a lot of money. And he said, I teach you how to pose. I teach you how to diet, everything. I'm like, dude, you pretty much had me at free. I was like, all you had to do was say free membership and I'm there. So Brian, he taught me how to diet, taught me how to pose and everything, and went in and won my first bodybuilding show, Mr. Texas, and went on after that and got to the Nationals my first year in the sport. A lot of guys don't do it, and I placed 3rd. And next year, I went on and went back to the Nationals again, placed 4th. And the way they did it back then, if you could pass the drug test, you could go over to the World Championships. That year was held in Poland. There were 44 guys in my class, and luckily I was the only one that showed up to take the drug test or whatever. Took it, passed it, went and won the World Championships. Went to my first bodybuilding show as a pro and placed 11th. My second show placed 14th. I won my first pro show in 1995, the Canada Cup. Went back to Canada, won again, 97. Won it again, won again in 98. And, of course, when I was going to quit the sport of bodybuilding, had Vicky Gates talk me into not quitting because I wasn't doing so good in 97. And she said, man, I told her, like, man, I got this job at the police department. I really don't need bodybuilding. And I was like, well, I think I'm going to just give it up. And she's like, boy, shut up. I'm like, yeah, you're right. If I quit bodybuilding, I'd lose my free membership at the gym. So needless to say, 97, when I was thinking about quitting, I didn't quit and went on and won my first Miss Olympia in 1998. And, of course, the rest is history. So in closing, I just like to say all you got to do is keep your faith in God and work hard, train hard, and you too can make it into the Hall of Fame. Thank y'all.
Our next inductee, Dr. AnnMaria DeMars. Truly remarkable woman. She's an American technology executive, author, and world champion judoka. As an American, she was the first to take home gold at the World Judo Championships, competing in the 56 kilogram weight class for the 1984 World Judo Tournaments. Dr. DeMars is Chief Executive Officer of 7 Generation Games and the Julia Group as well as a statistical consultant and Native American activist, having authored grants for various Native programs. When you talk about giving back, here is a woman who has spent her entire life giving back, teaching others, helping others, setting up scholarships for kids, teaching kids for years. She was in 2013, she was named to the Forbes annual list of the 40 women to watch over 40, recognizing her accomplishments and the backgrounds of women who are making major professional contributions after the age of 40 in the fields of innovation and other regions. And just to tell you what a great teacher she is, she also happens to be the mother of Ronda Rousey, for those of you who don't know. Dr. DeMars. She's the one who taught the armbar.
Well, I had originally just planned to say, thanks, later dudes, and then Dr. Bob told me that that was not an adequate speech. So I wanted to tell you that it's really insane to be a world champion. I mean, to tell people I think I'm better than everybody on the planet really is delusional. And it's beyond insane. You ruin your body. You know, as Mr. Coleman was saying, I've had so many operations, my knees look like a gang of midgets with chainsaws attacked me. You sacrifice so much with your family. When my first baby took her first steps, I was thousands of miles away winning the Pan American Games. But nobody makes it alone. If you are at the world level, there are people who shared those sacrifices because they cared that you won. And last night we were at the After School All-Stars fundraiser and people talked about your parents not being there. You should never think because the parents aren't there, they don't care. My mom almost never saw me fight because she couldn't afford the gas money to get to a tournament. She had enough to get to work and back, and that was it. And judo tournaments were $2, and Mom had 50 cents a day to buy lunch at work. And that money for me to fight came from her skipping lunch 4 days out of 5. And when I got in that car with whatever parent was giving me a ride to the judo tournament on Saturday and took the money my mom made from going hungry all week, you better believe, by God, I was coming home with the gold medal. And when I had my first knee surgery, my brother had already dropped out of university to work, and I couldn't stand up. And he gave my mom money and said, take her to Florida, where my grandparents lived, and don't come back till she can run a mile. And I couldn't stand up. And that year was the year I won my first judo championships. It's the year I won my first international gold medal. And I also set 4 college track records while I was at it, because our family is that kind of crazy. And nobody like me should ever win the World Judo Championships. I mean, if you haven't noticed by now, I'm not male. I'm not Japanese. I started judo with 2 local guys at the YMCA. My family had no money. And when Joyce Gracie drags people to the mat and armbars them, it's because it's his style. When I do it, it's because I physically cannot stand on one leg. I can't do half the techniques in judo. And I won anyway. And that's insane. And no one who wins a world championships escapes unchanged. And there are a couple things that can happen. One is you become a jerk with a gold medal. You believe that you are so good that the rules of society and common decency don't apply to you. And if you have never had those moments, then you are a far better human being than I am. But the other thing that can happen is you take that and you generalize it to other areas of life. I got a PhD. When my husband died and I had 3 small children, I quit my safe university professor job and started my first technology company. You apply what made you a world champion, and this room is full of people who have done that. But there's no level of gratitude for having your dreams come true. I mean, everybody dreams of being best in the world at something. And to have your dreams come true, how do you pay that back? And the only thing you can do is, if you're really, really lucky, you can infect the next generation with your craziness. And so every time I tell a kid, winning is a habit, no one has the right to beat you. Every time I pull aside a kid who's nervous and say, listen, I will never ask you to do something I do not believe you can do. You got this. You can do this. That's my way of saying thank you. So, thank you.
Joyce Gracie began training in Jiu-Jitsu at a very young age, received his blue belt at age 16, and was promoted to black belt 2 years later. They opened the Grace Jiu-Jitsu Academy 30 years ago in Florence, California, and his exciting career as a fighter began in 1993 after defeating 3 opponents in the very first Ultimate Fighting Championships in Denver, Colorado. Discipline after discipline was defeated by the 180-pound Joyce Gracie, when these opponents consistently outweighed him by 50 pounds or more. You got to think how remarkable that is. You know, and those of us in the martial arts, I mean, you got a guy who's 50 pounds, 100 pounds heavier, and he would just beat everyone. He went on to win 3 UFC titles, and today is the only man in the history that holds a no-hold-bars matches to successfully defeat 4 opponents in one night. He holds the record for the longest MMA match in history, 90 minutes, against a Japanese superstar. His largest opponent was a sumo champion who was 6'8", 486 pounds. So you got a 180-pound guy going against somebody who's 6'8", 486 pounds, and it was on New Year's Eve, so very apropos. It took him 2 minutes and 13 seconds for the shoulder lock, and good night. In November of 2003, Joyce Gracie was the first fighter to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame, and in 2014 was named one of the 50 greatest athletes in the world by Sports Illustrated. And as we all know, he just recently, after 20 years, fought Ken Shamrock and beat him again. So let's give it up for Joyce Gracie. We're at the after-school All-Stars, so I said you don't have to beat everyone up in the ring. Unlike Mark Henry's neck, which was really hard to get it around when you had the hair.
My father did not build fighters. He built instructors. We fight to show the world that our style is the best. It's not a fighting style, it's a self-defense style. Since I'm a product of his work, this is for him. Thank you.
His speech was almost as long as it took him to put somebody on their back and have them submit. So it's very consistent. In fact, that was one of your longer arm bars. We're so excited about our final inductee for the evening. Or should I say, for me it's like evening. I've been going for hours and hours. Johnny Bench, born in Oklahoma, childhood dream to become a Major League Baseball player. Boy, did he ever do that. He was selected and signed in 1965 in the amateur draft by the Cincinnati Reds, right here in Ohio. After 2 seasons in the minors, Johnny made the Cincinnati Major League roster for the 1968 season. This marked the beginning of one of the most remarkable and successful careers in baseball history. He was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in January 1989 and is considered by many baseball's greatest catcher, and was named the starter behind the plate of the All-Century team. His successes include National League Rookie of the Year, 1968, National League Most Valuable Player, 1970 and 72, back-to-back World Series championships with the Big Red Machine, 1975, 1976, World Series MVP, 1976, 14-time All-Star, and 10 Gold Gloves. In 1980, Bench set an endurance record by catching 100 or more games for 13 consecutive seasons. Over the years, when we talk about giving back, here's a man who was gives back to so many different charities, the American Cancer Society, chairman of Athletes Against Cancer, the Kidney Foundation, Persistent Sisters for the health systems, autism, you name it, he gets behind the charities. These people, all of them, are great, pay-it-forward kind of people. They are champions, world-renowned, legends, yet what do? They take those skills and they share it with others. And let's give it up for Baseball Hall of Famer, Ronnie Bench.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and Governor Schwarzenegger, an honor to be here among such the elite. I am a huge fan of all sports. When they announced this, I could not believe it. I thought, why a baseball player? But baseball has become very much international. In the past, we had now in the major leagues, we have the Japanese, the Chinese, the Koreans, we have the Australians, we have Europeans, Italians. We have so many people involved in that. But I have to say that to be in this class is a phenomenal honor. To be with the elite people sitting down here and the people that have been elected in the past is tremendous. The fact that they have committed themselves so long and worked so hard to be a part of championships that it makes it very much an honor. Being a kid in Oklahoma at 3 years old, wanting to be a major league player, and my dad said catching was the quickest way to the major leagues and what the major leagues needed, I sort of said, okay, Dad, I'll do that. And so I never had any weightlifting. We weren't allowed to do that. I didn't realize the strength I gained just by working in the fields and pulling cotton, then lifting peanut sacks that weighed 80 to 100 pounds, and I would pick them up, and I was only 5'2", and I'd put them on my head, and I didn't realize I was benching and pressing and throwing them up on the truck. And they said, and I still walk around here, and I feel like just such a sissy. These are amazing people. This is an amazing honor. And, of course, for Ronnie to have that surgery and everything else. I haven't had the back surgery yet. I have 17 broken bones, 6 broken bones in each foot, broke my thumb twice, broke my little finger, broke my shoulder, broke my wrist, broke my ankle, and I broke 7 cups, Ronnie. So those are the one that hurt the most, Ronnie. What a great night last night. I apologize, and I promise at the same time, being an opportunity to come up here for my first time. I came in yesterday. I have to leave today. But next year I want to sit down here with these great gentlemen and with hopefully this group as well, because I want to be a part of all of these festivities that are going on, the tremendous competitions, the opportunity that kids can look into their idols' eyes and make a chance to win at whatever level, but competing. The next best thing to winning is losing. We know that. We know the fact that they've learned so much from the first times. He talked about the third time. He came in third. He came in fourth. He came in 14th. And yet he strived to be the best. And that's why so many of these people here are being honored, is because we wanted to be the best. We wanted to make that commitment. And we are honored to be a part of this with that great name that you've attached to this. So thank you all very much. Hacks, thank you for putting me up. I appreciate that, Bob. It's been an honor. Appreciate it.
And true words are never spoken. What you have is a group of legends. Now, the one legend that we all know, and the reason why we're not only here today, but now on 6 continents around the world, with the athletic competitions and numbers of people attending doubling every year. I can only tell you that you should all realize that we're in the presence of a true historical figure. 100 years from now, 200 years from now, they're going to know the name Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's somebody we've had posters and magazines that we looked at since we were a kid growing up. We all wanted to be some version of him. And his words and his inspiration has allowed so many of us to achieve the goals. I know I owe my career having him as a mentor, and so many of us in this room are inspired by the great work that he continues to do, not just in sport, but in giving back through the after-school All-Stars, and there's so many other programs that he has created for children. and the things that he's done remarkably in the movie industry, becoming the biggest movie star in the world. Everything the biggest in the world. So let's give it up for our hero, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you all. Thank you. I'm very honored that we have Bob Goldman organizing this event right here at the Arnold Classic. For us, the Arnold Classic has always been a means to promote health and fitness around the world. And this is why we are now in 6 different continents. And I want to say thank you to my partner, Jim Lorimer, who is sitting right here to my left, who has been an extraordinary partner. We looked at each other in the eyes in 1970 when I won the Mr. World competition here in Columbus. And I said, when I retire from bodybuilding competition, you and I will be partners. And that's exactly what happened. In 1976, we ran the first Mr. Olympia competition here in Columbus, Ohio. And then afterwards, many other Mr. Olympia competitions, Mr. Universe competitions, Mr. International, Miss Olympia, and all those titles until we started then 30 years ago, the Arnold Classic. And so we've been doing this for 4 decades. And I was totally committed always that bodybuilding for me was not just to build my own body, but to build the sport of bodybuilding and sports in general all over the world, and to lift all of the sports up. And this is why I'm so happy that this World Championships in bodybuilding all turned into this huge sports and fitness festival. And we have 56 different sports here this year. It's a record amount of sports that we've ever had. We have almost 20,000 participants here. Now, just to show you, the Olympics have around 12,000 participants. We almost have 20,000 participants here in all these different sports. We have over 200,000 people coming through here watching this convention. I mean, it's really the most extraordinary thing, and we are now doing it, as you've heard, in 6 other continents. So it is really great to have all of you a part of it, and to have so many great athletes here in front that have been the inductees, and to have them all here on stage. There's only one person that I'm really pissed off about, and it is Ronnie Coleman. Because Ronnie Coleman, let's be honest, I was really having a great time bragging about my 7 Mr. Olympia titles, okay? And then all of a sudden, Ronnie Coleman has to decide that he wants to go for the 8th Mr. Olympia title. Thanks a lot, Ronnie, okay? Really appreciate that, okay? But anyway, let's give them a big hand again. Thank you all for being here. This is a great event. Thank you, and I hope you all come back. Thank you very much.